By the way, there's a couple of things here. Only half of evangelical pastors hold a biblical worldview. Now, this might be a little shocking for people who go to church. A study released Tuesday builds on an other report from American Worldview Inventory 2022, which shows that 37% of Christian pastors bring a biblical worldview with them to the pulpits. Now, a biblical worldview is, does every person have a purpose and a calling? Do you have a purpose for being here? And can God call you to something? I'm asking you, Stu.
Why are you asking me without the echo on your voice?
Because I don't want you to feel damned immediately.
Oh, okay.
So, do you believe that purpose and calling?
Sure.
Family and value of life, those come from God.
Yes.
Do you believe in God?
This is a tough one after the previous two, but yes.
Do you believe in creation? And this is weird. Creation and history.
I don't believe in history. I just believe in me.
Okay, right. Uh-huh. I believe in creation. Mm-hmm. Do you?
Yeah.
I mean, intelligent design. I don't know how he creates. But
yeah, I don't find that question to be as riveting as some do.
Yeah,
like, I don't really care how he did it, honestly. Yeah, but it's like it's on him. We got you there. Like, so you're saying dinosaurs aren't real? Yeah. Like,
wait,
what? I don't know all the details to it. Wasn't there. I will say I also don't know how an iPhone works exactly, but I'm glad the texts go through.
But I don't believe in Steve Jobs.
No, he
never existed. That just all of a sudden appeared on a beach somewhere.
Right.
Let's see. You believe in sin, salvation, and relationship with God? Do you believe in behavior and relationships, the Bible, and its truth and morals?
Yeah.
Okay, I think those are all pretty easy. Only 37% of pastors believe in that.
Oh.
I mean, you might want to put that on the front sign. You know what I mean? Like, hey, come in, try our donuts. And we don't really believe what you think we believe.
Well, this happened to you, right? When you were doing your church tour.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day.
Oh, back in the day. We went to every church, every religion, because my wife wouldn't marry me without a common religion. And I'm like, I love God and everything, but religion...
This is a long time ago. This was not you at the time, though. You were not. This church tour happened in what? I don't remember what year it was.
99.
Wow, it was a long time ago. So
long time ago.
You're finding your way, and mainly because your wife wouldn't marry you if you didn't.
Right. I mean,
you're forced into it. Basically.
Right. I was forced into it, she wouldn't. She didn't believe in premarital sex either, and I'm like, okay, chickaboo, what's it gonna take? And she's like, God, and I'm like. Here I am. I'm practically a god. Look at me. No, and
a Greek god.
A Greek god. She vomited, and then I went to church, and so we tried everything. I mean, I really liked the Jewish synagogue that we went to. Except you couldn't eat a lot of good things that I liked, and I don't speak a word of Hebrew. But it was in and out on Saturday. And it was pretty good. I've since then learned there's more than that. But I went to this church, and it was a what do they call those churches? Congregational, right? The white churches on the greens in.
Is it? I don't remember.
I think it's congregational churches, and they're non-denominational. And so I'm sitting there in the pew, and Tanya and I were listening. We're like, it's okay, it's church. And during the sermon, the pastor said, now, you all know that I don't believe in God, but if there is a God, we should serve him. And I'm like, hey, that doesn't make any sense at all, okay? Wow. And that should be on the front door someplace. That should be, before you go in and sit down, you should just know our pastor doesn't believe in God. But if there is a God, maybe we should serve him. Good safety tip there. So only 37% of Christian pastors have a biblical worldview. I mean, if you're not talking about sin and how to be a better Christ-like person. And how do you 37? What are they teaching?
And those are the questions, the specific questions asked. Because you could certainly there are differences among denominations and various questions, but these are pretty basic.
These are eight
points.
categories. 8 categories: purpose and calling, family and value of life, God, creation and history, faith practices, sin, salvation and relationship with God, human character and nature, lifestyle, behavior, and relationships. Oh, and the Bible, truth and morals.
Yeah, I know that there are obviously disagreements on some of the intricate matters of faith between denominations and pastors and blah, blah, blah.
But 37%?
Right. The only thing I would ask is who's defining biblical worldview there? And I assume...
The Bible.
The Bible. Yes, I would assume if you're talking broad categories like that, that's a stunning number.
Stunning number.
To the point of how is it possible?
So 57% of pastors leading non-denominational and independent churches held a biblical worldview, a nationwide study conducted in February. Non-denominational and independent churches were more likely to subscribe to a biblical worldview than evangelical churches. Perhaps most surprisingly, 48% of pastors of Baptist churches, widely viewed as the most enthusiastic about embracing the Bible, held a biblical worldview. 48%. Pastors of Southern Baptist churches, by contrast, were far more likely, 78%, to have biblical beliefs. The traditional black Protestant churches and Catholic priests... I'm sorry, Wow, I just had to read this again. Traditional black Protestant churches and Catholic priests were found least likely to hold a biblical view, with the incidence of biblical worldview measured in the single digits. Black churches, 9% of pastors, and Catholic priests, 6%.
I feel like if you asked atheists if they had a biblical worldview, you'd come up with higher than 9%.
I think I could give that to Penn Jillette.
Yeah.
And he'd be like,
at 14%. I'm at 14%.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. In churches with an average of 100 or fewer attending weekly services, 41% of the pastors had a biblical worldview. Larger fellowships with 100 to 250 adults fared better with 45%. However, 14% of pastors leading mid-sized churches of between 250 and 600 people, 14%, and 15% of pastors with congregations of more than 600 adults. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's hard to understand how that's possible. So why would you be involved in this business, right? I hate to call it a business, but it's like it's your life's work, it's your career, right? So
it's like
you think you care about it a little.
It is my uncle who was the head of safety at Boeing for years. Okay, and he'd never fly. He'd never get on an airplane, and you'd be like, Uncle Dave, what is that? And he's like, no, if you fly, you have to fly a Boeing. But there's no reason, logically, that thing should be able to take off and fly. And I don't know if you're the best for safety. I think my Uncle Dave should have been a priest, maybe.